get the session started. I hope everybody had a good day off and was celebrating in their own way today. I did post that the session is online on the WhatsApp group, so hopefully we should see a few more people joining us. Can I just have a show of hands for those that sort of had some issues around the registration, and just give me a sort of a hands up, registration issues and all of that, but is now up and running. Just give me a thumbs up. A thumbs up for yes, I'm up and running, and a thumbs down for I'm still trying to sort out one or two things, especially when it comes to accessing materials and so forth. Alrighty. Thanks, Prima. Cameron. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Jenna. Who else is there? Alrighty, Skylar. Skylar, you can always just drop me an email and just let me know what I can do just to help you get going. Is it around material, or is it just there was issues with the registration? I mean, you're on the session now, so you do have access to everything already. Even if it was a bit later than the other guys, just let me know. Either Alex have joined us. Is it Alex or Alex? All right, Skylar. Just issues with registration. I would receive a link already. In terms of this course, yes, I'm always hesitant to say you don't need to buy the textbook, but please have a look at the POE and have a look through the POE and see where you're going to be using the textbook. And I can tell you this much, that a lot of the detail and a lot of the information that you are going to need for your POE, those are for all the different sections, you can source from other places as well. So there is definitely alternatives to the textbook. All right. I'm not going to want to keep. I don't want to keep you guys too long for this evening. We had a good introductory session in which I talked through the entire POE and sort of just introduced the ideas and concepts behind why we assess in this way entrepreneurship. And as I said before, you have a choice. You really have a choice in terms of how you're going to approach this course. You can either do it just for the sake of doing it and getting it done, and you most probably will score a good mark. Alternative, you can really embrace the opportunity to understand entrepreneurship and to really test an idea out, even if it's a concept, Alan, that's why I'm very hesitant to say that. So that's why I use my words quite carefully. Have a look through the POE, see where you think you might use the textbook, and then look at alternative sources to the textbook. All right. So you can approach this course and say, okay, how am I going to learn a bit more? I have here an opportunity to test an idea. Here I've had an opportunity to research an idea, something that I've really been thinking about. And here's an opportunity for you to do so. And you're going to get marks and credits for it. So you can really approach it in two ways. In terms of the POE, the big ideas and the big categories of problems that you have to solve, I also say that I'm very easy and I'm very flexible in terms of how you're going to solve those problems. And if your business idea doesn't strictly fall into those categories, still go ahead and do it. I will still mark it and you'll still get the points. Most entrepreneurial ideas, most concepts, all plans, all business ideas that you will think about, all of them will relieve a couple of things. They might increase, they will reduce unemployment for certain, and they might have other impacts, other social impacts as well. So if you look at the POE, it says, there's these World United Nations development goals, and we need to fit our idea and concept in that. And I say that any idea, even if it's means opening up a coffee shop, is going to mean that you are going to reduce unemployment. And so have a social impact. All right, does that make sense? So let me just quickly take you through sort of the semester planner that I've uploaded this afternoon. Please access it. We had our session the first week, and then this is our second session now. Next week, there's going to be a national support session, and the link is here. I will also share this link again with you as a reminder. So the national support session is run by Kim, my colleague, and she will be taking you through this particular or part one of the POE. I will also be going through the part one POE this evening. And I invite you to ask questions, please. I don't want these sessions to be me sitting talking here for half an hour and you sitting listening there, tuning out, doing other things. So, so the first task is due like soon, like in a week and a half. But Skylar, your question is with regards to iStars. I saw that the first one was I missed due to late race. Will there be a catch up? Skylar, please go ahead and still do that, still complete that iStars. I will still mark it and you'll still get the points for it. So even if it's the due date is passed, you can still complete it. It's an open ice task. The ice tasks are all due by the 25th of May. So all of the ice tasks that I'll be posting between now and then is going to be open until the 25th of May. So you do them when you have a moment. You do them when you have a chance. All right. Don't leave them for the 25th of May though, because these ice tasks are, I mean, you guys have been around for a while. You do know that these ice tasks allows you an opportunity to score good points. It's a free 10%. So, and the ice tasks aren't going to be very challenging. They'll take you 20 to a half an hour, 20 minutes to a half an hour to complete. So it's a free 10%. And it makes a difference between a 73 and a 78, between a 46 and a 51, between a 59 and a 67, um, in terms of a final mark. All right. Prema, I'll be uploading the balance by the end of this week. I'm just trying to figure out which ones would be useful, because in the past, what I've done is I've sort of used bits and pieces of the POE as ice tasks as well, and I think that was okay. So maybe I need to ask you guys that's here. What type of ice tasks do you want to do? Do you mind sort of me picking out different portions of the POE and doing those as ice tasks to sort of let you um, work on your tasks as well as complete an ice task at the same time? Will that work for you? Just give me a thumbs up. All right. So what I will do is I'll pull especially there's one good question out of the second part, which is the macro analysis question, which is a nice one as an ice task. It does mean a bit of work, but all of the work that you're going to put into the ice task is the work that you're going to put into part two of your submission. And then there's a nice one on ethics, in part three on ethics and on sort of disciplinary codes. So we'll do that one. And then there's one or two others which would be quite useful, sort of part of the part two and three that I can pull out for you to be able to do as part of the iStars. Will that okay? So I'll post those by the end of the week, and then you guys can complete them. But please, now this is a caveat, all right? And I want to make this absolutely clear. Don't ask me to mark them, and in that way give you feedback on your submission. All right? You submit them, I give you a mark, and it's done. Don't look at that mark and go, oh, but you gave me full marks for my submission that I did for my ICE, but then when I submitted my part two, I only got 80% for it. What's up? All right. It's because I gave you full marks because I didn't look at it. I didn't, I didn't say it. You submitted it. I marked. I gave you the marks. All right, so that's the only proviso. That is the only proviso, that you don't look at that ice mark and go, okay, that's an indication of the mark that I will get for that same question in my POE. All right, as long as you guys are clear, I'm recording this, and when I post the ice tasks, I will make that clear again in the announcement. All right, cool. So I've broken down, there's going to be a lot of contact between us. We've got the WhatsApp group. We've got sessions sort of scheduled every second week, third week. You've got the national support sessions. This is one of those courses, that sort of module that sort of, it moves along quite quickly. And you have to keep on top of it, because task one is due the 4th of April. The next task is like due 4 weeks later. And then task three is like due the 29th of March. And then like 2 weeks later, you've got your POE due. So it moves at quite a pace. You don't have 6 or 7 weeks to sit with an assignment and sort of really work through it, small pieces at a time. At the same time, the assessment, the size of each assessment, part one and part two, also relatively small. But each one has its own sort of parts to it, which I want to touch on. So let me go straight into part one, and then we can work through that. Alrighty, Alan, you're asking, are these like assignments and a PO is like an exam? Yes. So think of these as 3 mini assignments, or three-quarter assignments, and then the POE is a massive thing. So according to the document that you received, the POE is around about 5.5 to 6,500 words. Now I can tell you this much: I'm not going to mark a 6,000 word business plan. You are not going to get money from anyone if you give them a 6,000 word business plan. All right. We've made mention of this to the examiner and said to them that 6,000 are just, it's words for the sake of words. There's no real value in it. So the last time we spoke, I made it clear, the max, the sort of feel, is around about 3,000 words. And if you can't sell a product in 3,000 words, then you shouldn't be opening up a business or giving that to anybody. So 3,000 words, that's the POE, Alan. And the POE in this case, which is quite interesting, is an actual business plan. So you're delivering an actual business plan to a potential funder, to a potential donor, to a bank manager, to an investor, of your idea, which makes it quite interesting. And the way this whole module is assessed is very different from any other module. And that's why I said right at the beginning, have fun with it. You know, out of all of the modules you're going to do, this is the one that you can have fun with. Everything else is shit boring. I mean, next year you're going to do research, and you're going to do strat, and you're going to do, you're going to fall asleep halfway through reading that strategic management textbook. I know, I teach that course, and it's dense. This is the one course where you can have fun. You can, be creative, and really get stuck into it, really sort of embrace it and engage with it. And if you read through the questions, they are very simple, straightforward questions. They are not difficult. They just mean you have to sit back, reflect a bit, think a bit, do a bit of research, and then answer the question. And what I've done, I've put together 4 submission templates for each part of the submission, and I guide you along. So for part one, here's question one. This is a Word document which you can download. So please just make sure that you delete all of the stuff, but it's in here. It's 5 marks. It's 400 to 500 words. And I say, briefly describe the problem you intend to solve. So that's question one. And here I say, please make sure that you include some numbers, some statistics. So it's things like the unemployment in South Africa is around about 36%. And then you reference that as an official statistic. The unemployment for youth is even higher at 62% at the ages of 17. So you put numbers into it. So to frame the problem, so it's unemployment, youth unemployment that you tend to solve. Or if it is girl children sort of dropping out of school due to teenage pregnancy, or if it's some sort of social problem that you want to solve, or is it some sort of environmental problem that you want to solve, include some sort of numbers, include sort of to frame the problem in a way that it is a problem. Because if it's not a problem, then your business that's the solution to that problem is not necessarily a viable one. Um, Yeah. So Prema, I've got a Word document, and again, you don't need to use it. You can use your own. You can follow along with your own format. The Word document that I've included for each one of the parts as we work through the POE is just a guideline in terms of the word count, in terms of what I'm looking for. And in some cases like this, I've included some YouTube videos. I've included some, links to articles that you can read before you start answering the question. Alrighty. Yes, Alan, this is the template that you can use. All right. So that's question one. Question two. Sources. It's identify at least 4 sources of your ideas that you consult in order to come up with a solution that you selected to your selected problem. And I say step 1, list the sources and reference. Step 2, list and explain. Now, when I say and reference, now this is a difficult thing because you might have been sitting around at home and suddenly an idea just pops into your head. How do you even reference that? You know, so you'll say in the process of brainstorming, for this assignment, I've come up with the following 59. These are based on my own personal experience and my lived experience and research that I've done on the internet and so forth. So that's a very broad reference, and that's not a proper academic reference. But what you're telling me is that, listen, these bunch of ideas I come up with myself because these are based on my experiences. These bunch of ideas, I went on the internet and here's the sources that I found them. This bunch of ideas I got from a textbook that I was reading. These bunch of ideas I got from my uncle that we spoke about, at last funeral that we were at, and so forth and so forth. So some of them you'll be able to reference specific sources academically. Others are going to be word of mouth. Others are going to be ideas and thoughts that have just popped into your head. So 20 of those ideas, you list them. And then you say, based on the above, this is the idea that I'm choosing, and this is the reason why I'm choosing it. It is that simple. So step 1, list the sources and the references, list and explain in a sentence 1. So you've got 20 sentences, 20 business ideas. And then step 3, select the best option and tell me why that best option, remember, that best option should solve the problem that you identified in question 1. So for me, a good question to answer links in well to question 1. So at the end of question 2, once you say this is the business that I want to start, and this is the reason for it, and this is how this business is going to solve the problem that I identified in question 1. And that's good writing. The ability to tie it up in a neat little knot, question 1 and question 2, because the 2 questions are essentially 1. This is a problem. Here's a bunch of ideas that can possibly solve it. Here's the one that I know can solve it, and here's the reason why. So question 3. Thank you, Alan. I'm hoping that please, and also again, as I said, have fun with it. This is something new that I've inserted. Doing a logo. There's some fantastic places. So for those that are wanting to play around with AI, go to Midjourney, open up a Discord account, ask the AI robot to draft to make you a logo. For others that are not so adventurous, go to Canva and go and play around with some logos and stuff. It's about having fun. It's about coming up with a logo that you think. So you've now identified your business. You said, this is the type of business. Now you're going to play. Okay, so in 3 sentences, the first thing you have to do is 3 sentences, like in a pinch, you should be able to say in 3 sentences, this is what my business is, which is the what it is, how it's going to work, and how it's going to make money. That making money is quite an important part in those three sentences. So an example would be, I'm going to open up a coffee shop in order to reduce youth unemployment. The coffee shop will be used as a training opportunity for baristas. Part of the income of the coffee shop will go towards training materials and funding and donor and funding from the youth development agency in order to train the baristas. You know, 3, 4 sentences describes what it is, what you're doing, the problem that you're solving, and where the funding is going to come from, and how you're going to sustain yourself in very simple terms. If you explain that to somebody, and then your draft logo can be a coffee cup, a smiling coffee cup, or whatever the case, coffee in a jiffy or jiffy coffee. I don't know. Go play around. Um, but you should be able to explain it in a few sentences. Like this is what my business is. This is the problem that I'm solving with my business. This is how I'm gonna make money out of this business. And that making money is really a inverted commas making money, because if you're opening up a social enterprise, then it's very different. The mission is very different. The social enterprise, the mission is not about making money. The mission is about how do you build a sustainable business model in order to execute your mission, but at the same time sustain the business. If it's a for-profit organization, then it's absolutely about building a sustainable business. And when we talk about sustainability, it's not just that big word about being kind to the environment. Sustainability is financial sustainability. I'm building a business that will be around in the next 10 to 15 years. So when you're describing your business, it's important that it describes both things, like what it is, how you're going to do it, and how you're going to make money. And then the draft logo. The the draft logo, the logo isn't in a POE if you look at question 3, but I'm sticking it in. It's a bit cool, because again, you're going to need a logo for your business plan. So you might as well start with it now. Make sense? Just give me a thumbs up if it makes sense or not. Cameron, I've been very quiet. Awesome. Great stuff. Thank you very much, Sejo. Um, Question 4 is a interesting one, because this particular graphic is from your textbook. I'm not quite sure which page number it is, the new one, but it can come from anywhere. So question 4 is about risks. And when you're an entrepreneur, there are 4 distinct categories of risks. So these are just categories of risks. One is that you can lose a lot of money and you can put your family in danger of losing everything. 2, you can lose your family because of it. Some entrepreneurs get very obsessive and they focus exclusively on building the business, and then they neglect their families, and the divorce rates among entrepreneurs are actually quite high. There's psychological risk, physical and psychological risk. Physically, you can die of a heart attack because due to the sheer amount of stress, or you can have a mental breakdown, especially when you lose money. The rate of suicide amongst entrepreneurs are the highest in all categories. And then there's career risk. Career risk is where by stopping working, you chasing an idea in a business, your career stands still, which means that if after 10 years you want to go back into your career, you have to start at the bottom in order to build your career back up again. So these are the different categories of risk, but there can be other risks. You are developing an app that is for women passengers only, and it only has women drivers, and it is a ride-sharing app, and the risk might be a security risk. You know, so those are business risks. But what I want you to do is I want you to focus specifically on the risks to you as a person, to you as the entrepreneur, to you personally. because this question links into the next question, and you know where this is going. Because the next question is that sort of honest reflection on, am I an entrepreneur or not? Am I willing to take all of these risks? Am I willing to take all, because it's easy saying it, but once you start writing it down and then starting to reflect on it in question 4, when you look at it, once you start reflecting on it and saying and asking yourself the question, am I an entrepreneur? Am I willing to take all these risks? And this is where I want you to really give me an honest answer. After identifying all that risk in question 4, and question 5 is that reflection. This is also the ICE task as well that I said to you guys 2 weeks ago or last week. Am I an entrepreneur? Yes, I might be an entrepreneur. Yes, the tests might show that I have entrepreneurial characteristics. Yes, I am the person that's described in the characteristics of a successful individual. Yes, in all of those yes things. But entrepreneurship is about taking risk. It's not just good enough to have a good idea. It's not just good enough to have the drive, to have the creativity, to have the confidence, the willingness. It takes the willingness to take risk, with the possibility that a strong possibility that you will lose everything. And this is why question 4 and 5 hangs together in this way. And that is why I want you to really focus on question 4, to your own personal risks, not business risks, not, nothing to do with the business, nothing to do with the macro stuff, the pestle stuff. I want you to focus on you as the entrepreneur. Make sense? All right, and that's really your question. That is really, I know that's a bit of a downer, hey? You got so excited just now. Um, so, yes, for question 4, yes. Question 5, you can just reference Premier. For question 4, yes, find the sources of risk, and it can be a website. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a textbook. And then for question 5, I did in the ICE task, I submit, there's a link that you can have a look at. And then also in the template, there's a big 5 questionnaire that you can complete. Those questionnaires are just meant to give you a bit of self-awareness of the type of person that you are. They're not the answer to the question. The question is about reflecting on it, reflecting on a single question. Am I willing to take all these risks that I've just identified in question 4? In order to go for this dream, to go for this idea? Am I an entrepreneur? Am I willing to take the risk? So that's the reflection. That's the almost the answering the question to yourself. If that makes sense. All right. That is part 1. I will be recording a session that I will post for you guys on part 2 as well, because what I want you to do is start working on part 1, get it done and out of the way, even if it's just in draft format, and start working on part 2 as well. Part 2 is only one big question which will take time, which will be the question for your next ICE task. So think of these parts, part 1, part 2, part 3, as almost like rolling assignments that if you're not working on this course at least 2 or 3 hours a week, then you are going to fall behind. And it's not difficult work. It is just, answering a question or two. So I'm going to be posting the template for part 1, template for part 2, and a template for part 3. And then you'll have access to it. And then you can start playing around with it, start adding things into it. And that's what I would suggest. Have the Word document and just adding stuff as you read stuff, as you go around your day. Something comes up, something, you read a story. You come back to this Word document. You just stick all that information in there, and then you sit down and then you start putting it together into a submission. Excellent. Are there any questions before we sign off? Any burning issues regarding the sort of the timings when we're doing our sessions and so forth? Anything that you guys want to add in to the discussion? All right, Tunzi, you've got your hand up. Yeah, go for it. Tunzi? Yes, yes, of course you can use your microphone. Absolutely.
Oh, hello, sir.
Yes.
Um, I have a little bit of an issue with this course. I was just recently added on the 13th of March on
Mm,
VC Learn, and I saw that I missed the iTask. So I wanted to ask, am I still able to complete it, or it will
yes,
be marked?
absolutely. Absolutely. All the ISAs are due by the 25th of May. So
Oh,
all of
okay.
them are open until the 25th of May.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you so much. That's all.
No, that's awesome. The Word document is available, this template. And again, it's a template. You don't have to do it. You can change the front, you can change the font, you can play around with it. And also with answering these questions, add in graphics, add in color, add in, you know, yeah, be creative, play around, play. That's all I'm saying. Play and be playful with it within a framework of making sure that you reference, making sure that you respect the submission. It is still a academic submission. You still have to write in a scholarly fashion. You still have to make sure that you reference properly the parts that you can reference, and where you can't reference, you say that I can't reference because I got this idea, and that's also a way of referencing, and so forth. Um, but but enjoy the course. All right, guys, thank you very much to everybody that has joined in. Alex, Cameron, Alan, Jenna, Prema, Skylar, Tunzi, Travis, and Tejo. Have a great evening. Before you go, I always encourage students just to stick in their most creative emoji in the chat before you leave. All righty, guys, have a good evening. Cheers.